Alright, so in this video we will be creating the login screen where the user will enter the credentials, and we are going to validate that based on the backend API that we built. Okay, so if it is a right password or wrong password, everything we are going to handle that. And for that, let's first of all create a login screen. I'm just going to create a file called login screen.jsx. Alright, so let's create a function. Alright, so right now I can just put put something like login. Okay, and later we are going to paste in the JSX. Alright, so for now let's mount the component within our main.jsx. Alright, so this is going to come right here, and here I am going to say route, and the path is slash login. Alright, so and the component that we are going to mount is the login screen. Right, so login screen, let's auto import that. Alright, so that's done. Alright, make sure your backend is also running. Okay, so let's expand this and go to slash login. Yeah, there we go, we have our login, and now let's go ahead and build out our login component with the email and password for the user to enter, and then a submit button. All right, and along with the password reset and Google OAuth. Okay, so let's go ahead and create that. So in order to save some time, I will be actually placing the JSX. Okay, I'll be copying and pasting since this course is not about HTML CSS. So I'll just replace this with the actual code that I have. Okay, so you'll find this in the GitHub repository, which I also linked in the video description. Okay, so if you want, you can just go ahead and copy that, and or if you want, you can just type it out. It is very intuitive. Okay, Tailwind is, since it's low level, you can understand what classes are actually being applied. And if we are using something like bootstrap or react bootstrap, so it is very high level, and you just need to refer the documentation for that. So this is very intuitive. You can, if you don't understand, you can just hover on this and you can just see what property is actually being applied, and you can just go through all of this code that I have already created in the earlier stages. All right, so now let's have a look at the output that we get. Okay, so okay, actually we need to also define the link, okay, from the React router DOM, since we are going to slash register if we are not registered yet. So let's auto import that. Okay, so that's done, and now let's have a look. Okay, there we go. So we have the email, password, and the forgot password. If you want, you can just click here, which we will be doing in the next video. We will be handling the forgot password, and we can finally log in, and also we have an option to sign in with Google also, which we will also be implementing in the later videos. All right, and also we have a button if you're not yet registered. So if I click here, it is we haven't created that page yet, so we get a 404. All right, so now let's create a local state in order to handle the values of email and password. So back in our code, we are going to make use of the use state hook. So const, I'm going to call this email, and set email, that is coming from use state. Okay, and giving it an initial value of an empty string, and I'm going to duplicate this same for password. All right, so you can just do this. Okay, I press Ctrl D in order to select the next uh, subsequent character, the or the word. Right, so that's done, and now let's handle this within our JSX. Okay, so we have given an input of the type email, and only thing is I want to give it a value. Okay, so this is all about controlled inputs. All right, so if you know about React, so value is going to be email, and the we are going to give it an on change handler. All right, and just take in the event, we are going to set the email and giving it the value of e dot target dot value. Let's do the same for the password. I'm just going to copy this and paste in here. All right, so this is going to be password, and make this lowercase. All right, so that's done. So So if you open your React DevTools, by the way, if you don't have it, you can just go to your extensions or add-ons. You can install them, and here within my components and in our login screen, we get all of our state and what are the props that we receive. Okay, so if I just type in anything, let's say, okay, so you see this value gets filled out here, which means that we are controlling the input and storing it within a variable. Okay, so same if I just type any password, you see the values pop up here. Okay, so if that is working, then we are all good. All right, so now let's go ahead and create a we can just bring in the user slice, okay, the function that we created, and let's dispatch the values that the user has entered, okay, so that we can get some response if whether the password is valid or not. Okay, so if it is valid, we are going to send the user back to the home page along with the user details that we'll be storing in the local storage. If not, we are just going to throw an error saying that invalid credentials. All right, so let's do that. So in the previous video, we have already created the user slice and the user's API slice. Okay, we have already built one for logging in the user. Okay, by API slash user slash login. Okay, so now we are going to pass in the values. Okay, and also we are going to bring that within our login screen. So let's import use login mutation. Yeah, that is coming from. Okay, so not like this, so that is coming from dot slash slices that and the users API slice. Okay, so this function right here. All right, so now let's create that let's go ahead and extract the values. So const, I'm going to destructure the first parameter is the login. Okay, so which we are going to call this function and pass in the values, and then we are going to get the is loading state. Okay, so this happens internally within this user's API slice, okay, by the Redux toolkit query. All right, in case if you think that this is like magically happening or something like that. All right, so that is coming from use login mutation, and just call that. And yeah, so now let's create a on click handler on our submit button. All right, right here. So on click, okay, we are going to call a function called handle login. All right, and since we are not yet created, that's complaining. And also I'm going to create this for when we submit the form. Okay, so we can right here say on submit and call the function handle login. Okay, so now let's create that function const handle login. All right, and make this an asynchronous function because we are going to dispatch the actions which are actually asynchronous, and pass in the event parameter. Okay, and now as usual we are going to prevent the default behavior of the browser by e.prevent default. All right, so now we are going to make the request to the backend. Okay, so let's open up a try catch block. Okay, so we are just going to grab the response. Okay, that is coming from await the login function that we grabbed here, and we are going to pass in the email and password. Okay, that is that the state that we created. All right, so email and password. Okay, so these are the values that this function actually expects. Okay, that we have already created in the backend video. All right, so now let's dispatch, and we want to set the credentials also. Okay, remember in the last video we have also created this user slice where we are going to store the user information in our local storage. Okay, so that in order to persist values. Okay, so we are going to dispatch that action. Okay, so first of all we need to bring in dispatch, use dispatch, import use dispatch, that is coming from React Redux. All right, and also we need to import the set credentials that is coming from our user slice. So import set credentials, that is coming from //slices, but not API slice. Now it's user slice. All right. So now let's initialize dispatch. Okay. So that is equal to use dispatch and just call it. All right. So now let's dispatch the action. So that is set credentials. All right, and then pass in our response. Okay, so whatever the response we get, okay, remember in our backend video. Okay, so let me just go ahead and show you within our controllers, user controller. So in login user, it expects the email and password that we are sending from our front end. Okay, so and also we get this response. Okay, this value we want to store it in the local storage. Okay, so if everything goes well, else we just want to throw an error saying invalid email or password, or if validation actually fails. All right, so let's go back to our login screen and dispatch this set credentials and passing the response object. Okay, so we need to create a copy of the response. Okay, we cannot send this directly. Okay, since if any values changes in that, we are going to actually mutate even this variable. Okay, if you know about primitives versus reference types in JavaScript. So that's done, and now let's finally navigate the user back to the home page. So again, we need to bring in the navigate hook, use navigate, and again we need to initialize that. Okay, not import. Okay, and let's navigate to slash. Okay, so this will point to the home directory, and let's finally put some toast message. Okay, so toast, let's import that, auto imported, and toast dot success, let's say login successful. All right, so that's done, and for the error, let's put in a toast message. Okay, so we do not want to redirect anywhere, but just show a message if there is any error. Okay, toast dot error, and this error we need to grab it from this error. Okay, so that whatever error we pass in over here. Okay, so we get in the form of that. Okay, so that we get from error dot data dot message. Okay, so there are two ways, okay, of getting this error. So either if this property exists called data and then message, or it is just the error dot message. Okay, if we pass in any. All right, and also we need to optionally change this. Okay, so that we do not get any error if there is any value missing. So that's done. So since we are making a mutation, we need to unwrap this using the unwrap function and then call it. Right, so now let's go ahead and handle this is loading. Okay, so within our button. Okay, so here we have handle login, which is on click, and now we want to make it disabled if the is loading value is true. Okay, so disabled and set this to a value of is loading. Okay, which is a boolean. Okay, so if it is true, then the button will be disabled, and this will become false once the response has been fetched. Okay, it's finished fetching. All right, so that's done, and also let's bring up our spinner component. Okay, right below this button. Okay, I guess yeah, that would be the right place. So let's open up our expression and say is if is loading. Okay, then we want to show the spinner. Okay, so we need to import that. Okay, let's auto import it. That's done. Okay, so this is a short of writing. So if this is true, then we are going to output this. All right, we are going to show this. So that's done. Then let's test it out. So back to our application. So let's just refresh, and seems like there should be an error. Data is not defined. Where is it coming from? Uh, where's the query? Oh, okay. Actually, I made a mistake in the last video, guys. I literally messed this up. I need to write this inside another property called query. Okay, so which will receive the data. Okay, so this is a property which will receive the data that we are passing in our login screen. Okay, so this data, that is email and password, and we just need to write this inside a function. Okay, so we need to give this an implicit return and just pass this inside. All right, so that's I guess that's right. So sorry for that. So again, sometimes while talking and typing I make such mistakes. All right, so let's now again test this out. So let's go to our application, and now it is defined. No, you don't have to complain me. Yes, there we go, everything's working fine. And now let's log in using our credentials. All right, let's hope for the best. We wrote a lot of code. Let's hope we do not get any errors. So again, let's type in the right password. Okay, so let's now click on login. Okay, so for some reason it is it's just refreshing, it's just submitting to a page. Maybe I did some mistake. Okay, I made a mistake, so this is default. Okay, so let's try it out once again. All right, I'm going to submit this. This says request with get slash head method cannot have a body. So there's a small typo here within our user's API slice. So this is not model, but it is method. Okay. So again, it doesn't know what is this model. Okay. So I told you by default it is get. So get, we cannot pass in any data. Okay. So that is why it's complaining like that. Okay. So I hope you got to know what kind of errors you might expect, and hope not to do the same next time. All right. So that's done, and let's now finally try it out. All right, let's refresh. So let's type in the wrong email. Okay, wrong password, I mean. So let's log in. There we go, we get invalid email or password that is coming from the response, the error. Okay, so this error that we have over here. Okay, so this message. Okay, so now we let's type in the real password, that is 12345. I forgot to set it back to 123456. So let's try to log in. Yeah, there we go. Congratulations, you have also learned a login feature. So that's really cool, right? Here, this is the previous error that we get on unauthorized. Okay, so that is 401 that we actually set it up. Okay, using the custom error handler. All right. So there we go. We are redirected to our home page. So now let's have a look at our local storage. Okay, so you can just open our DevTools and click on application. Okay, under the storage you see a tab for local storage, and this is for the cart items. You should also see one for the user info. Okay, so I guess it's hiding here. Where is user info? So actually I forgot to add this user reducers in our store.js. Okay, so I don't know why I keep forgetting. So we already done for the cart, and I forgot for the users. Okay, so you can just call this user and set this to user reducer. Okay, and we need to import that as well. So let's import user reducer, that is coming from dot slash slices slash user slice. All right, so I hope that should fix it. All right, so now let's test it out. Now let's log in again. All right, yeah, there we go. Now we get our user info with these values that we get from the response from our backend, and also you see we get an expiration time. Okay, so that is 30 days later from the day I'm recording this video. Okay. No, actually this is today's date when I'm recording this video. Maybe there should be some error, so let's have a look. So actually this, we don't get the time in milliseconds, so maybe we need to write date.now. Okay, like that, and then pass on 30 days. Okay, so let's save and just try it again. So now we get the expiration time in milliseconds. So I just want to check this using a calculator whether it is 30 days from the time I'm recording this. So I just opened some app, and you see I just pasted in the value, and I get 30 days after the point I'm recording this video. Okay, so that is after 1 month. All right, so that's working fine. And one more thing, you can just go to your application along with the local storage, user info, and expiration time. We can go to the cookies tab, and we can see our JWT. Okay, our right over here. Okay, so this is our JSON web token, which is basically used for authorization and authentication. Okay, so that we can access various routes. So we are going to check this in our cookies. Okay, so if this exists and we are going to verify that, so only then we are allowed to access such okay, such protected routes. All right, so I also wanted to just show you that, and I guess we are done for this video. And in the next video we are just going to let's say slash login, and we are going to handle this forgot password. Okay, so if the user enters the password, enters the email and click on forgot password, so it will send an email. So within that, we get the password reset token. So we just grab that, and we will display an user interface where the user will able to access that page and reset the password. Okay, so let's do that next.